What's up guys, Zero here, and today I want to go ahead and give you guys some pretty exciting news. So I've been working on this custom pack for quite some time, and I just want to go ahead and give my very first devlog about this pack itself, and explain what exactly is going on in this pack, what I have planned, some of the issues that I have with it, and things like that. So I want to go ahead and welcome you guys to Project OVERTECHNICAL. So what exactly is going on with this pack? What am I trying to change? What am I trying to modify? What sort of mods are included? I'm not going to be able to get to literally every single mod in this video because there's over 100 as it currently stands. But I will give you guys a basic idea of how this pack is supposed to work. So if I go to my base right here, this is technically one of the mods where it has some new generated structures using vanilla blocks. I did modify it slightly because you can probably see the create mod windmills. That's not really important for the sake of this video, but I have this rocket ship. I'll get there eventually. But if we go ahead and go up here, this is where my base of operations is currently, and there's a lot going on in here. So we're going to get to everything that I have so far, and then I'll explain what's going on with this pack. First off, I am going to go ahead and go to sleep real quick. I've got a very simple setup in here. My enchanting table, got a bed, and of course, your salt. You guys should know salt if you're familiar with my channel. But the basics of what's going on in this pack, I was not expecting it to rain, but oh well. The basics of what's going on here is both upstairs inside the blimp itself and down below. I'm actually going to go ahead and start by going upstairs. And here's my basic create mod setup. I know it's not the most fancy thing in the world. There are some slight issues that I want to go ahead and try and address, especially with the deployer setup here. I need to address that. And a fan setup, there are some issues with that. They're actually related to some of the bugs I have with the pack. I will get to that later. But this is the basic setup I have for right now. And then downstairs is where some of the more important stuff is. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you guys that really quick. So downstairs are two important aspects that I want to show off. My AE system and some mechanism stuff. And this is my power source. It's using free North Star Redux and mechanism to power. I know there's various sources for power, but it's not important. And then in here, I'm growing all of my ores. And this is all I have so far. And you can ignore the textures on this. This is just a resource pack. But I'm growing the ores. I know some people are going to say this is incredibly overpowered. But you're going to be crafting and making machines a lot. So the fact that you don't have to spend tons and tons and tons of times in a cave just to find the one resource that you need is going to come in handy. I know some people really love being able to go in caves, which is fine. That's still technically an option. That's just there for my personal convenience. You can think of that what you will. And I did actually have to code some of the stuff down there to actually work properly. I was using mcreator. It made it a lot easier to package the mods itself that I need to make. And I do want to discuss the mods that I made for this pack specifically in a later video. But what exactly is going on with this pack? So there's really no true angle for this pack, at least none as of right now. The basic idea is that you have North Star Redux, which is a continuation, a fan continuation of the space mod Create North Star, which allows you to build your own rocket by hand and travel to a few different planets. And Redux is still currently in development, and it's supported on Create 6.0. Create North Star, the original, was not in 6.0, was stuck on 5.1J, which I've actually been working on this pack since 5.1J, and I've been working on it for about half a year, but I actually only recently, about a month ago, updated to 6.0 because of one of the add-on mods. So I just want to go ahead and tell you guys that, again, there's really no goal to this. Going into space, that is technically your goal, but you can do literally whatever you want. So, as far as this pack is concerned, what are my goals? What do I want to add? What do I want to fix? What are some of my problems? So, in order to explain all that, let me hop into my creative test world, and I will explain pretty much the majority of what I have issues with. So here we are on my creative test world, and it is a bit of a mess, but that's not the point. So I want to address some of the things that I have some slight issues with, and some of the things I want to change, and some things I want to add. And we'll get through this relatively quickly. There's not too much. So the first thing I want to address is the Dreams and Desires mod. This is a hydraulic press, which allows you to use rotation and fluid in order to press a bunch of stuff at once. Like you have a stack of ingots that you would turn into a stack of plates. It does it all at once. You don't have to wait 1, 2, 3 in a row. It does it all at once. And I'm not bringing this up because there's a problem with the hydraulic press, because I want to keep Dreams and Desires for that. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because Dreams and Desires as a whole is slightly buggy. I'm not entirely sure why. There's some missing recipes in this, and the reason for that is because Dreams and Desires itself is not for Create 6.0. I actually had to install an add-on and a library for that add-on that essentially allows Dreams and Desires to work on 6.0, and there have been some problems as a result, and I'm not sure how to deal with that, but I'm hesitant to remove it because this has come in super handy, and there are some other things in Dreams and Desires that has been super handy as well. And I'm going to go ahead and showcase what one of those issues actually is. So if I get an Ender Eye real quick, and I throw it inside of this centrifuge right here. If I throw that in here and I let it run, this is going to eventually separate into an ender pearl and a blaze powder. So you can probably already see where this is going. You can essentially make a blaze powder farm. If it weren't for the fact that Dreams and Desires seems to have some slight issues, and I'm not entirely sure why, because first of all, this is a seething catalyst which allows you to seethe or superheat, whatever you want to call it, certain items to turn it into other certain items. And if you throw an ender pearl on here, in previous versions, you can essentially use this to bulk create a bunch of blaze powder pretty easily for basically nothing. So it's incredibly overpowered. But for some reason, Dreams and Desires is requiring you to use its industrial fans to do that. And the recipe, for whatever reason, just doesn't work. So the problem is that if I remove Dreams and Desires, there's going to be some things that are going to break. I'm going to 100% lose my survival world as a result. I've tried. So Dreams and Desires unfortunately has to stay, but there's some recipe conflicts that I do want to try to address if I can. There's another thing that I want to go ahead and bring up, and you probably saw this in my survival world as well, is that I actually have a mod called Wrenches Extended. So if I get a couple of wrenches right here, I'm actually also going to go ahead and get a plank real quick. I'm going to use crimson planks for this. Do I have a smithing table over here somewhere? I don't. Okay, so this is an add-on that allows you to go ahead and customize your wrenches to your heart's desire. So that's why my wrench in my survival world did not look normal. It's because I customized it with a few different materials. And it was fine, but there's another add-on that for whatever reason doesn't like the extended wrenches, so I'm going to showcase that very briefly. So if I get some andesite alloy, and let me go ahead and get an axe as well. So I have another add-on called Ultimine for Create, or Create Ultimine, or something along those lines. It's an add-on that's supposed to work between FTB Ultimine and Create, where you can bulk process a lot of stuff with this. So yeah, this is all andesite casing now. You're not doing it one at a time. And then if I use the basic wrench, yeah, so pretty handy for a lot of stuff. But for some reason, and again, this is another issue, if I do this with an extended wrench, I don't know what's going on. I'm using the exact same mechanics, and if I move to the other wrench, yeah, it's fine. So there's a problem with that. I'm not entirely sure. I thought it was just cosmetics, but apparently okay, so I actually didn't realize this when I was testing this, but yeah, this is actually an extended wrench and not a wrench, so apparently it doesn't see extended wrenches. I'll have to look into that. There are a few other things I want to go ahead and address with this specifically, and I actually had to make some custom crafting recipes. I probably said this before, I'm not sure if I did, just in case I didn't, I'm just covering my bases. But I'm going to discuss those in a later video. I'll probably make my own video. Actually, I am going to be making my own video. I don't know what I'm saying. But I'm going to be uploading those as not only their own video, but I want to upload those specifically. So if you want to throw those in your mod pack without needing this pack specifically, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Not going to discuss that here. But there's some other things that I want to address. First off, I might add in Pakui to this pack. I'm not familiar with how to make stuff with Pakui, but I want to make a guidebook, not necessarily saying, oh, well, this is your quest, this is what it's supposed to do, this is what and whatever. I don't know what I'm saying, but you get my point. I basically want this to be like a tip and trick book, because there's some things that are in here that I don't feel like the mod specifically addressed. Like, for example, the escalators and escalated. The actual ponder for this says that it is 3 blocks longer than it's tall, which is fine, but it misses some points of the escalators that I think players would find useful. Like, for example, there's actually a shaft point on the bottom of these, and this actually applies down here as well. I'm not gonna waste time digging that up, but the mod doesn't explain that. So it's just going to be some basic tips and tricks, some build tips, some mechanics that you may not be aware of. I know that's not what Pakui is usually used for, at least from what I've experienced with Pakui. So I wanted to throw that in. Something else I might add in is FTB quests. This one I am super unfamiliar with as far as looking up how to do. Technically the same thing with Pakui, but I've done a little bit of research regarding Pakui specifically, so that might be doable, not 100% sure yet. But FTB quests, that's going to be a massive, massive beast I'm going to have to conquer, and I'm not sure how to handle that. I have to do a ton of research on that, but we'll get to that eventually. But as far as that's concerned, that's really all I have for this very first devlog. There's a lot of stuff that I do want to go ahead and cover, but for this first test, I think it's completely fine. As far as a public build, I want something that I feel like is going to be incredibly stable. Not that this isn't stable, although I have had some crashes here and there, but for the most part, it's fine. But there are some bugs that I want to go ahead and address, some other fixes I want to address before I make a public build. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, but outside of that, that's really all I have for right now. So if you stuck around this far, thank you for watching. I do appreciate. I'll hopefully be able to get some updates for you guys in the future, and I do need to go ahead and get some other stuff uploaded in the future. And why is there a fire over there? That's kind of bizarre. Oh wait, I know exactly what's going on. It's not important for the sake of this video, but yeah, if you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe for future content. But yeah, with that, I will see you guys later.